Our first contact concerning the EnVe ventilator was 6 or 7 years ago. He wanted to know what I would wish for if I could have a ultra-modern, futuristic ventilator. Most designs were large, ponderous ventilators that were difficult to move, difficult to process, difficult to handle. And I was more interested in practicality. If we could do many different things with a single machine, we could streamline education, streamline expenses related to supplies. We could maybe even save time for our therapists, and that's indeed what we ended up with. The first week that we had the EnVe fleet in use, we had to move an entire intensive care unit to another building. We had a lot of critical patients on ventilators and bilevels, and the move went brilliant. It was extremely fluid. We didn't have any problems. Since we used EnVes as a replacement for all of the ventilators they had been on before, it was so easy from that point on. Typically, in a simple transport procedure, we need an entire separate secondary ventilator. We need to process that down in the department. We need to assemble the circuit. We do a checkout procedure. We have to transport it up to the unit. We then integrate all the existing settings from the primary ventilator and then mount the ventilator. Then we take the ventilator off the patient and sometimes have to set them on lesser settings. With the EnVe ventilator, all of that process, the time and the expense involved with that is removed. We no longer need a secondary fleet. We don't need the supplies that are used there. We don't need the time. In terms of expense for me, my transport fleet cost me $80,000 when I purchased it. We spend over $20,000 a year just in circuits and accessories for simple transports. We've calculated that the time runs around 600 hours just for that process of the setting up of this ventilator and transporting it up for use. That doesn't include transport time. We've got about 600 hours is about $23,000 in labor savings. We still hold to the present theory that the fewer times we break the circuit, the less likely we will have a VAPS condition occur. So we try to keep a sealed circuit. Anytime we're transporting these critical patients on a transport ventilator, we're breaking the circuit routinely. The EnVe, when put into use, will go through, basic support, transport, without any breaks, without any reason to break. If we have a patient in bilevel, it's very easy to convert them to conventional ventilation. We just have to intubate them and make a small adjustment, and it's done. There's no secondary equipment involved, no secondary personnel. It's done quickly and efficiently.
Studies on ICU ventilator patients show that by decreasing sedation and increasing mobility in appropriate patients, the length of ICU stay drops, days of ventilation drop, and a higher percentage of patients return to their pre-ventilation level of functioning. In addition, while in the hospital, mobile ventilation patients enjoy more independence and require less nursing time. Using the EnVe, it takes less staff, less time, and less trouble to get patients up and moving with no interruption in ventilation support.
The weight of the EnVe, a 9.5-pound ventilator, is relatively easy for any of my staff to move. Our past experience with 4 generations of mechanical ventilators, we've had a lot of back injuries. Even as the weight's diminished to 160 pounds or so, we still have injuries. The EnVe turned out far better than I ever thought possible.